Is it go time?
Yeah, let's get started.
Let you guys kick it off.
Is Duquesne in here? I gotta make him a co-host too. I missed something in the last meeting. Well, now's about time to get started. Translations are set, so anyone who's listening to their own language, just please click interpretation and click your own language. As I mentioned, anyone who has a question while Clayton's doing his talk, which will be on Collagen Colostrum for giving back my youth, please put any questions in the chat, and we'll stop every randomly just to answer some questions verbally. Um, but Clay, where was this video posted? Because we did you did a short version of this last week, didn't you?
I think it's on TikTok and it's on you know what? That's a good question. Let me go ask John.
I got the link. I'll
Yeah,
send it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the Instagram. I got it up right here. So there's a very good talk, and Clayton on TikTok and Instagram was talking about the collagen colostrum, and got a very good reception for that. So we thought it'd be a good idea to talk about this on the ambassador call too.
And that's what we're gonna do. How should we start this thing? Should we go into okay, Dylan, you've got a nutrition background, a sports performance background, and a personal training background. Why are collagen and colostrum important or valuable?
Well, the biggest one for me is the collagen, personally, for like the actual joint health. Collagen peptides are between peptide 1, 2, or 3, depending on the sourcing of your collagen. The sourcing of collagen is mainly either bovine source or marine based collagen, which marine based, we don't share the same qualities as we do with bovine. The reason I like collagen for an athlete's perspective is because the peptides 1 and peptide 3 are hair, skin, nails, but also your ligaments, tendons, and cartilage, which means as an athlete, as you're working out, your tendons get sore, you have partial tears at all times. And it helps your body recover in a much faster way than you can possibly imagine. Because unlike getting amino acids and peptides for protein peptides, collagen peptides are specific to what you're putting them into. So the hair, skin, nails, yeah, it helps grow with that. But your ligaments, tendons, and cartilage, that specific peptide increases your recovery time like tenfold. Duquesne had a knee injury back from college, and I had an ankle injury after college, actually. And him and I both took the collagen colostrum. Yeah, my ankle was dangling and destroyed all of my ligaments. And I was running again within 8 months. And I can't say that's because of getting back my youth specifically, but I know it would not have been 8 months if I wasn't taking the collagen and colostrum for the recovery side of that. And then me specifically, I like colostrum because the way I eat, it helps my gut not have any issues with the hot sauce and buffalo sauce, which I have in a constant source.
But you were using the term peptides.
Yeah.
So are you saying that in collagen and in colostrum there are natural peptides?
Yeah. Peptide is such like an overused term because everything's basically a peptide, but every peptide has its own sequence that maps out to a different peptide. So, like your L-leucine amino acid is your peptide for lean muscle mass growth, and that's just the way it triggers when you take in that supplement. Collagens and colostrums, it's a peptide as well, and the sourcing of it will depend the type of collagen you're taking in.
So is it not true that individual peptides usually have to be sequenced with other natural peptides in order to be applicable or used?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was responding to the Czech translation, and all translations are live of Dokia. So just if you have an issue with that, please put back in the chat. But if you click interpretation, you should be able to find Czech. But
I think they were talking about the videos we posted.
oh, okay, my bad.
I
Well, let's
will
fix
make a note
videos.
to Marty and the video team to see if they can do that.
Well, they can
Well,
put them on YouTube. I think we can put them on YouTube and then YouTube will translate them into Swahili. That way, nobody can understand them.
sorry, ask your question again, Clay, about peptides.
So what Christina's created are mechanisms of using nature and the combination of naturally sourced peptides to amplify their effects. Because taking an individual peptide is going to leave you wanting because usually an individual peptide needs its other natural components around it or other synergists, correct?
Yeah, so actually, that's a good way to say that. just because you have a singular peptide coming in doesn't mean your body's going to actually absorb it and use it to its fullest. And like I mentioned, collagen is not just one peptide. It's not just a collagen peptide. The peptides that make up the collagen branch chain are peptides 1 and 3 for the main peptide sourcing. And so those different types of peptide chains are what go into your body to be absorbed and used and utilized. And collagen especially has a lot of times, the reason our collagen is better is because how small the dose it requires to take for your body to absorb into it. And that's because we have no fillers and no additives. If you go to Walmart and you just get a random collagen off the market, it's going to have like a 2-gram scooper and it's going to have a massive amount of collagen in it, but it's because it's other fluff and filler that's not actual collagen. Our collagen peptides are pure collagen peptides and pure colostrum peptides that are added into your body and actually just, I mean, I think it's 2 teaspoons, and that's your whole serving, which is pretty wild.
It's 4 grams of each, which is the clinically efficacious amount of both. So we'll dive into this a little bit. So when it comes to collagen, which has its own market segment, and all of these people talking about collagen and liquid hydrolyzed collagens and such, first, let's explain what hydrolyzed is. Hydrolyzed means in solution. So if you have friends or family members or people around you that are talking about taking hydrolyzed collagen, and if Give Me Back My Youth is hydrolyzed collagen, say yes, add it into a liquid. But we don't believe in selling water unless we're, well, selling water, which we don't yet. We will later on strategically, but we don't want fluff, as Dylan said. So if you can make something absolutely pure, it's better. So one, there are multiple sources of collagen. You can get fish sources of collagen, which is taking the cartilage and bone of fish, grinding it into a really fine powder, and then you get fish collagen. You have chicken cartilage collagen, which usually uses the sternum and some of the connective tissue from chickens to make different collagens. So products like Liquid BioCell, which is a very, very popular form of hydrolyzed collagen, because they basically melt down all these chickens and turn them into a gel, and then add some water and a bunch of flavors and a bunch of additives and a whole bunch of crap to make this Liquid BioCell collagen, but it's using chicken sternum. Now, if you think about this, how are those chickens being raised? Do you think that they're all open range, free range chickens that are really, really healthy, raised in really good environments? Also, we kind of like the House of Ramis, the Ramis Ranch chickens? No, they're not. They are very horribly raised, farmed chickens that maybe have other things in them. And chickens are loaded with arsenic because of what's being put in them. And I'm fairly confident that those things aren't being cleaned up. So you have fish, you have chicken, but then there's another source. Well, there's 2 other sources. There's plant sources, not as ideal for the human body. Then you have bovine, which are cows. Now, it's been proven that bovine sources of collagen are actually the best for human consumption. This just in. We're human. So we want to find the best source of collagen for human consumption. And it's nice that we happen to have a nanotechnologist and bioscience engineer who is uncompromising in, one, her ability to do research. And then because of this amazing relationship that we have, she's able to go source the best sources of ingredients to make sure that she's not compromising the quality of whatever it is she's creating, because quality is of the utmost importance, right? You never compromise on quality, because if you compromise on quality, you'll eventually compromise on outcomes. And we refuse to compromise outcomes. So we use the best source of collagen for human consumption, not for margin and marketing, for human consumption. We use that same source to make the products for Bill and Coo because we don't want to compromise on what we supply our animals. But as Dylan was hitting on, the peptides found in collagen are actually really beneficial, but they're more beneficial when combined with two other ingredients. That happens to be colostrum. Now, collagen and colostrum, both very popular conversations. If you remember, if you were with us a couple years ago, I made sure to let everyone know almost 2 years ago that the biggest conversation of 2025 was going to be colostrum. Ashwagandha was the big conversation in the health community last year. All these companies were selling ashwagandha. Whoop-de-frickin' do. This year, everyone's talking about colostrum. Well, the thing is you can sell colostrum, you can sell collagen, but the best thing to do is actually combine them together properly. You have to source really high quality colostrum. The majority of colostrum that is made in different sources here in the United States. The problem is here in the United States, the cows are so freaking toxic, you don't have very good sources of colostrum. There are a few sources that you can get from overseas that are much cleaner environments and that actually have, check this out, cruelty-free sources of collagen and colostrum. Now, why is this important? Well, I don't like to have tortured animals. And you want your sources to be the most efficacious. And maybe you might be vegan, right? Or you might be vegetarian, and you know that collagen and colostrum are something that you need in your diet because you need strong connective tissue and you need those building blocks, but you can't get them from plants. But you don't want to eat animal byproducts from tortured animals. So you actually have a source that is cruelty-free. So you have collagen, you have colostrum, they're combined together in very, very pure forms, as Dylan was touching on, that you don't have to worry about additives or fillers. This stuff is the flakiest, creamiest collagen and colostrum I've ever seen, and I've tried and used a lot in the past because I've actually been using different sources of both of these for over 20 years. And so I'm experienced in the subject. But here's a little secret for our crew that you guys should already know because you're already doing it. We don't need cruelty-free, but the catalyst for proper collagen and colostrum metabolism, that means the use thereof, happens to be orthosilicic acid or bioavailable silica, because the silica is that catalyst that allows the body to use the bovine sources of collagen and colostrum and convert them into something that the body can apply. Now, where would you find bioavailable silica? Is it not interesting that nature's most abundant and bioavailable source of orthosilicic acid or bioavailable silica happens to be clinoptilolite? And Nurse Christie wins a cookie. So clean slate is actually the most important tool to use with any collagen or colostrum, because it's going to give the body the bioavailable silica it needs. It's basically upgrading the microchips and the processing power of the human body to take what you're putting in to actually use what you're doing. So you have the perfect combination of the two: no additives, no fillers, no junk, no trash, sourced from the ideal sources of they're both sources, and combined with the most powerful mechanism to allow your body to use them. And if you compare prices in the market for what you'd spend for the highest quality collagen on its own and the highest quality colostrum on its own, you would spend more than what you spend on Gimme Back My Youth. So that means it's higher quality, cruelty-free, which you won't find another one, and less expensive, and more rewarding. And you can combine it with the catalyst, the only one in the market that will actually amplify its effects. Done by a patented nanobiotechnologist that has also produced some amazing offspring, one of which happens to be here today. How's that? What else do we want to go over? Should
I
we
wanted
do?
to add something in there too, Clay, because I looked this up. So the serving size we have of Giving Back My Youth is 2,000 milligrams of both collagen and 2,000 milligrams of colostrum combined. But the serving size we mentioned is only 4 grams. I just looked up 2 other competing collagens that are healthy, clean collagens, and the serving size is 2 scoops, which is 20 grams of ingredients for one of them. That's $65, and the other one is 49, and it's 17 grams, and you're not getting the same quality of protein or amino acids, or sorry, peptides of the collagens. But for some reason, they have a 17-gram scoop that you're taking in the ingredients, and you're just paying more money for less actual ingredient.
You're gumming up your system with all the extra junk.
Well, and even when they say that they don't have fillers, they have binding agents, which takes up an equal amount of size of the container, which is why they have such large scoops. And so a lot of companies get away because they put on their labels no fillers. But if you look at their label, they'll say that they have some sort of gelatin or binding agent. And that's what they're using as their excuse for not having fillers, but really that binding agent takes up about half to 2/3 of what you're intaking when you take a giant scoop that
Plus
lasts
sodium.
you for half a month because you have to use so much.
And if you look at the labels of all of these other products, if you understand the science of labels now, which I think our community is becoming more educated than most, especially if you're here consistently and you're applying what you're learning. If you look at the label of other collagen supplements, what you'll see on the label as an other ingredient is always silicon dioxide, right? Because it's known that you have to have bioavailable silica. But do you know what all of those other companies aren't using in order to create that silicon dioxide? They're using a non-efficacious form of silicon dioxide where you actually need bioavailable silica. And like I said, the most abundant bioavailable source of silica happens to be clinoptilolite. Now, here's the important part of this. You actually have to process that rock properly in order to make that bioavailable silica available. Now, as someone who's worked with clinoptilolite for 2 decades, I can tell you that every other company that talks about making a liquid zeolite is using some form of acid that destroys the silica. I know that for a fact. What Christina's created, and it's the only one that's got multiple patents behind it, to show the process and mechanisms, and it is the only product that actually has clinical protocols with published case studies showing clinical outcomes that have led to multiple patents being filed for the reversal of most diagnoses that pertain to neurological, psychological, diabetes, colon cancer, autism, and 30 plus other disease states that are being reversed through the mechanisms of using the protocols that pertain to Gimme Back My Youth, Clean Slate, and some of its siblings. So there actually is nothing else you should be using on the planet when it comes to building the foundation for your health, your longevity, and your ascension. Notice I said 3 things. And if you do these things right, if you use clean slate, zero in, restore, relive greens, give me back my youth, immune defense shield, sculpt and crush, that gives you the foundation to then supplement your life with what you want to eat. So if you look at your monthly budget, and the problem is most people don't have a budget, most people don't know how to do a budget. So you don't even know what you're spending. You just know at the end of the month you don't have a lot of money left over unless you're sharing a lot of what we do. And then your life is different because you're uncomfortable with the amount of money that you're making, like many of our ambassadors, which is also something that they get to work on. But if you don't know what you're spending, and if you do know what you're spending and you look at what you're getting out of what you're spending money on, you're going to realize that your lifestyle kind of sucks because it's not helping you get better. So if you flip that and you start focusing on putting the things in that are going to do best for you to become the best version of yourself, because that is the only reason that we're here. That's the test. Are you going to be a victim of your environment, or are you working towards the reason that you're created? Those are your 2 options. If you choose to do the latter, you will choose to invest in yourself. If you invest in yourself, you then have the mechanisms, because you have something that is intelligently designed to give your body everything that it needs to do what we're made to do. And then you fill the gaps by what you want to eat. If you go backwards and you say, I need to eat all this stuff, I need to buy all this food, and then I need to supplement, you're going to find that your budget doesn't fit. But if you're willing to invest in yourself, you can change your perspective, which is going to change your life. These are the goals. Duquesne, I need to get you a different print. I can't stand those flowers behind you.
I like them.
Okay, fine.
Moody.
It is moody, but I just don't know. It just concerns me. It concerns me. It's very old.
So I wanted to open it up, Clayton. You were talking about what's next in the talk. I wanted to see what issues people run into when they're talking about give me back my youth with other people, because I thought it would be great for you to be able to show people how you're able to answer those questions. Thank you,
I
Amy.
don't even know if I do answer them.
Or you or Dylan, because I would say both of you all here are probably 2 of the best, other than Dr. Rom, about pitching the products. So
$5.
yeah, questions. I see Elizabeth is the first one, and I know Dylan loves this question because I hear it from him all the time at events. Dylan, why are bovine better than fish sourced?
Let's go. You get to go on this one first, and then I'll dive into it a little bit.
Cool. So fish peptides, marine-based collagen, doesn't. So peptide 2 and peptide 3 are hair, skin, nails. That's peptide 3. Your peptide 2 is going to be something that we don't actually share a commonality with fish, whereas bovine has peptide 1, which is the ligaments, tendons, and cartilage of your bones and joints. So it actually touches more on our human body than a fish peptide does. The sourcing for fish can also be like a little bit less quality almost every time. And then the actual bioavailability of what Giving Back My Youth is with collagen and colostrum combined is much more bioavailable than the fish peptides are, even though some claim that they are better.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question, because you're a smart guy in this. Is there connective tissue in your skin?
There is.
So if you're feeding the proper connective tissue that does ligaments and we'll call it sinew, if you're doing it right, then you're actually going to build from the inside out. Oh, God bless.
I do want to point out to people as well, too. I think people forget a lot that there is colostrum in Give Me Back My Youth. So all the questions I always hear is always about collagen and all these other sources of collagen and liquid collagen versus powder. And they just completely if you are comparing Give Me Back My Youth to just a collagen product, you're kind of already missing the point. And it is a great source of collagen. And my mother-in-law now uses Give Me Back My Youth as an alternative for her collagen. But the benefits are also there of colostrum. And anybody who's trying to compare a collagen product to Give Me Back My Youth already is they're down a level because there's no colostrum in it.
Yep. Colostrum costs $100 from Armra, ARMRA. And that's
That
just
stuff is trash.
And so that's what I'm saying. Duquesne's got a good point. The question is always because collagens are such a hot button topic, and it's just such a big talked about supplement that people forget that we have the best collagen sourcing, but also the best colostrum sourcing, and they're in tandem from bovine sourcing.
And here's a little hint for everybody. Just if someone asks you why they're done this way, here's the answer that I give people. Duquesne's mom is the smartest woman in this industry, and she knows what she's doing. And let's see, she speed reads. She has an eidetic memory. She's got 2 postdoctoral certifications from Cornell, one in nutritional counseling, one in pharmaceutical management. She has a postdoctoral certification from Harvard in nanotechnology and bioscience engineering. She was 20 years in biotech doing cloning and molecular design and bioscience engineering at the highest levels of biotech. And do you know how many people on this planet have that level of pedigree? Oh, there's one. So when it comes to actually thinking about who you're going to trust as a source for information, let alone the design, formulation, and production of anything you're going to put in your body, I might refer to the global leading expert on the subject and trust that one first. Anything else is basically listening to functioning idiots. And Duquesne actually agreed with me.
I didn't know if I would agree, but I would say even those people out there will all say the benefits of collagen and colostrum, but they don't have it combined and they don't have it without fillers. And so, again, I think Claire brought this up earlier. Dr. Ram has a patent pending process on the combination of those two without having fillers in it, which I don't see that on other brands. And maybe that's just in the US, but Dylan and I have looked before we started even working here, and there was not an alternative for Give Me Back My Youth. We did a lot of research because we were trying to find like a comparison that we could do. And the truth is, there's really nothing to even compare it out there because even if there's other products out there now that do have both, they combine so many other things. There's 1 or 2 other brands, but they have so many other things in them or like other additives and flavoring and stuff that you can't even compare them as a product. I do see Martina has a question, so I'll call on her.
And then we'll answer Verena's question.
Hi, how you doing? I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you anyway for bringing this up tonight because I had a conversation last week with a customer of mine about colostrum and all this, and you see what I posted in the civil group from my downline from the customer, and she had all of these products and the issue she had. And I'm very, very grateful, Clayton, that you bring this up tonight, that you explain these things, and just let me something right from my heart. We as ambassadors also to bring more people back on are very thankful that you explained it so good because a lot of people do not know the connection of connective tissue in our body. If this is not okay, if the connective tissue is disturbed, it causes a lot of problems. And just what you brought up tonight, I just want to thank you. I love it. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry if I can't be on with my face right now because this is the time I'm cooking and my husband coming right back very soon from work. So just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Martina. I want to touch on something else too while we're waiting for Clayton to get back. One of the biggest things that I don't think we always touch on the fillers or the additives thing. And I think some people have a misconception that what we're talking about is that it's printed on the label about what the filler is. And I want to kind of dive into that. When you get a protein powder, it was not had their COAs done, it was not had third-party testing done to verify the quantity of the claimed ingredient that is in each serving size, then anything else in there could be filler, just with the same coloring as what the product is. So when we talk about our product only needing 2 teaspoons, it's because we had the remind me, Duquesne, the third-party testing we do. Not NSF, but we do third-party testing with all of our products.
ESCG.
ESCG, thank you. And so that guarantees that what we claim to be on the label is what's in there, and there's nothing else in there. And so when we say fillers, we don't just talk about what's printed on a label, but what could also be in the ingredients that they're claiming anyway.
Cold is everything.
Let's see.
I want to, Verena made a question about a stress fracture, and I'm gonna hit on this 2 different ways. Hey Dylan, can you put your pictures of your wrist in there?
Yeah, let me find them real quick. I'll send Duquesne on WhatsApp because I have an Android.
Yep. So Verena asked the question of, can a high glyphosate level cause a stress fracture or lead to weakened bones that can lead to a stress fracture in a teenager and leaky gut? The 2 answers are yes, but here's the interesting part with glyphosate. Glyphosate actually damages connective tissue, which if you look at young athletes and professional athletes currently, and I actually did an analysis about this a couple months ago when I had some people in the office looking at the number of ruptured Achilles tendons that you see in professional sports. The prior to 1990, you actually virtually never saw this, but now you have guys popping Achilles tendons on an annual basis at a rate never seen before in human history. And you can see this in kids with knee injuries and shoulder injuries, that they are weak in their connective tissue. Why? Because they're constantly polluted with glyphosate and other heavy metals, which damages it, and they're not getting what they need to fortify those connective tissues. So how do you resolve this, and how do you assure that young athletes or current professional athletes are able to maintain a level of proper tendon and ligament strength and recovery while also cleaning up the mess that can create damage? Dylan, what would you say to that? Would it be clean slate and give me back my youth, or am I just missing the point?
So I actually didn't even have crush back then, but if I had that, would have been even faster healing. But no, I think I did like a triple dosing of getting back my youth. I had reload greens too, but that's my gut issues again. But my first time taking clean slate, I think I took like half a bottle, ruined me for the rest of the day. I think I was to go home early because I was relieving all my toxins. But then I was heavily on to giving back my youth. I went through probably 2 bottles a month, and I sent Duquesne the images because I can't send them for my Android. But Duquesne, if you can put the images of my wrist in the chat, I don't know if you can link photos or not.
Clayton posted it on Facebook at one point, which I don't know if you knew that, but
Didn't.
Let me see.
He broke his freaking wrist.
Let me show it right there. So the wrist was broken completely through the bone, and it's even like broken on the side piece too. The radius and the ulna were both broken. And then 6 days later, I went back to the doctor, and the entire strain of fracture was completely like I guess calcified back up from the bone. They didn't even give me a cast because they said it healed so fast. But 6 days.
Can you hold that before and then after up again, just so people can take that in?
Hold on, I got an idea. Let me remove your pin.
Yeah, you need to pin yourself.
I'm trying to find your Facebook post, Clayton.
So that's the before, obviously broke completely through. And then that was a couple days later, 6 days to be exact.
Hold on. That was a complete repair of a fractured wrist in a week.
Is actually, so the thing about this one is too, the doctor thought I was lying and switched the arms at first because of how jagged that piece was of the break. And he was saying that I should have had a cast on, but I was the skin and swelling was too much and the inflammation was too bad. They couldn't put a cast on it. So they had to put like a brace around it. And they had me come back in a week later to put a cast on it when the swelling went down. The swelling had gone down and the pain had released so much. I got the x-ray And I started moving around like this, and they're like,
Do that.
we don't know what happened. You don't need a cast though. And then funny enough, I played in a rugby match 3 weeks from that day.
He was not supposed to.
Brando was not happy.
So you fractured your wrist, repaired it in a week, and played 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Hashtag Wolverine style.
I mean, we don't go over this. Dylan doesn't really talk about this as much either, but like Dylan was supposed to never be able to run again or be able to ever play rugby when he broke his leg, and he was able to come back from that.
His ankle did this.
Yeah. That one was that my ankle is still held together by a bunch of screws and plates though, so I'm kind of more bionic down there. But the wrist was wild because I didn't do anything with doctors, no surgeries, nothing like that. It was just I went back to the doctor 6 weeks later, and I promise you. So the wrist I had crush with, the ankle I didn't have crush, but I was fully on crush. Give me back my youth, Real Greens, and I was taking heavy amounts of clean slate and clean spirits. The reason I'm mentioning all this is because I'm active, so my body's gonna normally recover faster than someone who is sedentary. Anytime you're actively recovering, even through like small microfiber tears, your body's going to recover faster. But if you have the things in your body to fuel that recovery, to give the amino acids, the peptides that Clayton was talking about, if you have the things your body is needing to like do the repair, it's going to be even faster.
Can you and Duquesne hit on? I want you both to hit on something here that is how I was raised, but we have, I don't know how many youngins we have on here with kids and such, but I know most of the people on here are parents or have kids and some young kids, or you have kids with grandkids. Hit on the importance of what activity as a child does to create the foundation for your health and longevity and muscle development as a kid, on how it applies to metabolic function and longevity later on. What you guys
I do want to say, we'll answer this, but I do want to say I want people to keep asking questions on Give Me Back My Youth, because I want that to stay the focus. I think a lot of people, I love Claire's background. So Give Me Back My Youth is the highest selling powder we have, although Relive Greens has kind of been making a comeback that it might beat out Give Me Back My Youth this month for the first time in probably 2 years. So, but I do want people to have a good support system and talk track when they talk about giving back my youth, because I do think people get held up on the price point of Give Me Back My Youth because it's often compared to collagen. And so if you all do have more questions, I want you to either raise your hand or put it in the chat so we can answer that today. And then Dylan and I, at the end of the call, will talk about the importance of staying active as a kid.
Got it.
It goes with collagen and colostrum and why kids should be on it too.
Does. Nurse Christy.
Oh, look at that. She rocked that. She rocked it in accordance with being on camera. Let's go, Christy.
All right. So, my daughter and I are making homemade coffee creamer, and I'm wondering, if you add the Give Me Back My Youth to the creamer, how long it will stay, like how like a couple of days, a week, if it's already mixed with the other ingredients, or should I just add it still on a daily basis?
No, you should just put it into a single serving size and sell it alone as it is, because greatness doesn't need adulteration. Duquesne, fine. Okay, do it your way.
It's not legal, so don't listen to that. Although that might be a surprise of something to come in the future.
Okay, Duquesne's the coffee expert here. I defer.
You can, so Marty, if he was here, but I don't think he is, he mixes it at the start of every week, and he mixes it with, I think, coconut water is what he does.
He's here.
Oh, what do you do with your Giving Back My Youth mixture?
I put it in macadamia nut, coke. Everything I put it in, it usually lasts until that product actually doesn't last. I mean, but you go through it quickly. So any kind of creamer I use, I put it in there and I pre-mix it, shake it up, stir it up. It's nice and creamy, comes out perfect every time.
Yeah, so the only thing that would really impact the like efficiency of Giving Back My Youth would be heat. So it's
Or a dairy
important.
product. If you use a dairy product that's going to expire, then of course.
Yes, or that it basically goes bad with whatever product you're using. But the heat, it is important to not put Give Me Back My Youth in anything that's boiling.
Right.
Now, really, if you're making coffee, it should never get to the point of boiling ever. That's not a popular opinion because people like their coffee as hot as possible. But
Can I add to that? Now, I'm not an expert in coffee, but for everybody, since McDonald's had these problems too, you should never drink something that is boiling.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
But I
So,
would say my experience is probably a week. I think you can do it longer, but I do think it stops, like when you shake it up, from my experience, it doesn't mix as well. It does start kind of breaking apart more, but it doesn't go, it's not going bad. It goes bad as whenever your base that you're mixing it with goes bad.
okay. I just wanted to make sure because my daughter, who has a 1-year-old and is pregnant again, is also starting her student teaching for her teaching credential, and I'm trying to help her as much as I can with setting up a routine that doesn't involve stopping at, some coffee shop on the way. So I wanted to make sure.
Listen, I'm ashamed to say this, but when I was in my teaching days too, it's hard to resist the drive-through coffee shop. You forget your coffee in the morning and it just is easy sometimes. So,
Luckily,
um,
It's,
luckily for her, she likes iced coffee. And so she's already figured that she's gonna do the rum roast because that's her favorite anyway. She really would prefer that. The creamer was the question, can we make the creamer like a
yeah,
week's worth like she does the coffee? So that's a perfect, we'll do that.
Okay,
awesome.
Daniela Gata has some insight to share here. She's prepping to look pretty on camera.
Yeah,
She's
right.
I'll
Hi,
go
everybody.
after that.
I hope I can be heard well because sometimes I'm a little bit like low in voice.
professional mic, you're good.
Okay,
Like,
good. So I don't have a question. I just have a testimonial. I started in 23. I used basically almost all the products, but Give Me Back My Youth was one of the favorites. And I had seen my cosmetologist I've been seeing her for over 10 years, right? And I've always had good skin and so forth. And between the two visits, when I started to use the products and I saw her again, she was like, wait a minute. And she would supply me her products from a really good line. And at that time, I didn't use the Ella Pure line. And she said, Danny, I got to ask you, what's going on here? I know you're not doing anything. You're not Botoxing. You're not using fillers. What the F are you doing? And it's like, oh, really? And she said, your skin has never, ever been like this. And I will now go public. I turned 62 and I'm not using any filters or anything. And it's just
Go.
like, I know. I made it public. How many people? 78. Oh my God, you have to cut this out. No. So I'm so grateful for that because I would have never really noticed but she knows my skin in and out. So that was amazing. And to all the ladies, it also works for the cleavage. So good products.
One of my favorites too.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. I muted myself. Verena has her hand up, so you can go, Verena.
I'll hit Wendy's comment or question too.
Just had a question from a customer concerning when she should Give Me Back My Youth, if it was better to take between meals or if it could be taken with a meal.
I actually prefer it in the morning and at night. I don't like it with meals, but you can do that. So when you look at the synthesis of ingredients a lot of times, and because of the purity and everything, the best thing to do is feed your body what it needs when it is in the best phase to use what you can give it. So I don't usually eat during the day, so I do my clean slate, let me see. I'll use usually pineapple juice or a combination of pineapple juice with lemon juice and ginger as my foundation with my greens, my crush, my sculpt, my Gimme Back My Youth, immune defense shield, and let me see, that's the majority of them. Do that in the morning, and then, you know, depending upon what I'm doing, I'll take different stuff at night as well. Because if you, I use my clean spirits and clean slate at night, and then I'll supplement with different things, because especially when you look at joint regeneration and recovery and those aspects that collagen and colostrum are good for, the body's going to use those while you're sleeping, because the regeneration process doesn't take place during the day. It's when you're resting, when you're asleep, that your body's able to shift energy into doing everything for repair and regeneration, because during the day, it has all of its focus on function. So ideally, morning, evening. If you're going to add it in your coffee, morning. If you're going to make sure that you're supplementing to make sure you're bringing sexy back, nighttime. But you can always add it into your diet and do different stuff as well. But here's the one key part that I just hit on for everybody. And I know genetically, and Duquesne can speak to this as well as anybody else that knows me, I can eat more than anyone you can probably imagine. But when I'm me and I have my choices now, because there's a difference between caloric intake and nutrient intake. What I'm able to do, because I follow what Christina has created, my nutrient intake is so massive in such a small amount of caloric intake. I'm constantly fasting, but I have all the nutrients and all of the protein, everything else that my body needs. But that allows me to not eat and function at a level that most people can't comprehend, because I'm not running on calories. I'm running on energy. So when I do eat, I can eat whatever I want, but I can eat strategically, because I'm not eating for substance, right? I'm basically eating for fun. That allows the ability to eat intuitively, right? Because if you clean up your system, you're going to then desire things that make you feel good. You'll eat better, but sometimes you can eat bad foods, things that are not good for you, because you can know you can handle them, because that's what we're here for. We're here to enjoy life. We're not here to suffer through it. That help? Cool.
Thank you.
So Wendy asked a question with liquid biocell. They use the selling point of Dalton size. What's my response? Here's the thing. If you have no substance, you'll talk that size matters. Apply that however you want.
I will also say I don't see colostrum in that formulation. Bring that back up to people. Look, I don't want to I think our collagen is top tier. You're cruelty free. Again, Dylan just sang the praises of bovine. But again, all these questions, I haven't seen anything that has collagen and colostrum mixed with it. So by comparing it to a collagen that only has collagen, you're taking away all the health benefits of colostrum. And I promise you, if you just go Google benefits of colostrum, it is such a hot topic right now that there are thousands of research articles, not only done by Dr. Ram and our ISNS team, but about every doctor around the world singing the praises of colostrum. So
here's something that all of you can do. I didn't mean to, you got to
no, you're good. That was it.
So here's something that all of you can do, or you can tell all of your friends to do. You can use your favorite centralized large language model, because Ruth isn't here yet for you. She's coming. But if you ask, I'll just say DeepSeek or ChatGPT to act as a leading researcher in health and performance, and give me an analysis of the benefits of combining bovine colostrum and bovine collagen in combination, what the benefits are, and compare that combination to other alternatives, and let it give you a response. And then I might even tell it, while you're telling it to do that, cite at least 10 sources and see what it does. Duquesne's probably doing this as we talk.
I'm responding to comment or German comments because I have to use deep L.
Oh, that's better than me. I can't even make a deep thought, and you're using deep L. I mean, holy shnikes. Suzanne Wilhoff actually hits on a really cool point. For moms, if you have a nursing baby, or if you have a baby that is done nursing, that you still want to make sure that they're getting the nutrient profile, Give Me Back My Youth is one of the most valuable things that you can put in their beverages when they're young, right? So once you've weaned a kid off the boob, Give Me Back My Youth is something that you should put in whatever it is they're drinking constantly. It's absolutely crucial. And you should be giving them a bunch of clean slate because you need them in combination. And who wants a weak baby? I don't. I mean, look at Duquesne. I can remember when he was born and he was, no, I can't. Never mind. He was BC.
Clayton loves to act like he's my biological father because when his hair grows out, we do have some similarity in how we look.
It's cool.
Duquesne, I added 2 documents to the chat. One is Give Me Back My Youth breakdown comparisons with 5 of the top products, and I did one in German too. So there's 2 in the chat for people to download and read and figure it out.
I do see Margaret has a question, so we'll get that. But I do want to real quick say, Marty, how did you do your research to be able to build these documents, which are so amazing?
I use 3 different AI programs, and then I have to go to the root site and I pick up, you copy the information off the root site, you go to the back office too, and you get the ingredient list, you drop them in, and let the AI figure that out completely. And then you go to every top site that you can find for every product and you research every one of those. And then you take all of it and you throw it together one big pile, and then it says, hey, guess what? Root is right.
Uh-huh.
So it's not like we're faking it. It's just like you got to give it all the information, and it seems to work.
So Marty is doing a lot of work to do more of these for different products, but I do want to just remember that or remind people a lot of what we do at HQ, you all can do at home as well. But I will get to Margaret's question real quick.
Can I hit on? Let me hit on Jill. Jill made comment 4 minutes ago as I'm going through this. You could be behind or ahead of me. I'm not sure, but she made the comment. There's a new peptide out that's being marketed. Guess what? I did a book interview because I'm being quoted in a new book that'll come out here shortly that no one's going to read. So that's great. But I was asked the question of where science is going for all of these scientists using, these scientific innovations to identify new molecules and identify some of these small components, individual peptides and such, and what my opinion is of this. Here's the thing. If you're of any semblance of intelligence functioning in this world, you understand that we're created from intelligent design. And here's how I can end that argument for anybody that might disagree with me. The planet or the ecosystem in which we live is 70% water, 17% silica, and a mixture of other components. The human body consists of 70% water, 17% silica, and a mixture of other components. Therefore, we are made from the environment that which we exist in. That means that world that we exist in has everything made within it for the top species built in it. That happens to be us because we're here for a lesson. So the key in this is not trying to break things apart into their smallest pieces to think you can do something special with one thing. It's a matter of how you use what's been created for us and combine them together, because if you try to separate a single peptide or a single molecule, you're actually taking it out of the environment that it was intentionally created in. And if you want to understand this, look at every single pharmaceutical that's ever been put on the market and understand that every one of those products comes from a derivative of a natural source that a single component is synthesized from and then used in an artificial delivery mechanism to put in your body. And you might understand now that those synthetic mechanisms have significant side effects because they are not endogenous to the human existence. Now, if you happen to have a nanotechnologist and bioscience engineer that understood quantum physics and bioscience engineering and how you could take what nature's created and source them properly and combine these pieces together, you might find that the outcomes are beyond what you'd comprehend. You might also find, if you were a member of the International Science Nutrition Society, that there's a massive amount of published literature already that shows that using this approach leads to the elimination of all the disease states that other people have that we can't get. And just maybe there's already patents filed for the reversal of many of these health conditions based on the protocols created by said savant, who happens to be the one that's created all these things. And some of her greatest creations happens to be these 4 kids, and one of them is here. So not only did she create amazing kids, but when she was done creating amazing kids, then she started creating things for the kids and for everyone else. I digress. So as it comes back to, anybody asks you a question of why would I use this? It's because, well, they were intentionally designed by probably the smartest woman on the planet to do what they're made to do. They're not designed to make money. They're not designed to do a marketing campaign. They're not designed to sell something in its least expensive mechanism to be able to make profits. They're designed to create greatness because that's who made you. Duquesne's turn to answer more questions.
I don't know if it'll be me, but we'll do Margaret, and then I think we're out of time for the call.
Where's Margaret? It's me again, Margaret. Oh, and if people are trying to sell you peptides to inject, run. Because if you have to use more needles than a heroin addict, you have a problem. Okay, go ahead, Margaret.
Ja, hallo, kann jemand bitte übersetzen? Okay, danke schön. Ich habe mal eine Frage und zwar habe ich viele Vegetarier in meiner Umgebung und mir ist es aber doch wichtig, ihnen auch Argumente zu bringen, warum auch sie eventuell, wenn sie sonst nichts Tierisches zu sich nehmen, dieses Kolostrum nehmen sollten. Also einfach mal schlagende Argumente und auch nochmal, dass ich es nochmal höre und die anderen auch. Wie genau wird es gewonnen? Ich weiß ja, dass eine Kuh und auch eine Mutter die erste Milch herstellen, aber wie funktioniert es, dass tatsächlich diese Milch auch aufgefangen wird und dem Kälbchen ja nicht weggenommen wird? Das wird häufig gesagt, ja, aber dann wird es ja den Kälbchen weggenommen, das möchte ich nicht. Vielleicht könnt ihr da noch ein bisschen zu Argumente sagen, die man dann auch weitergeben kann. Ich eier immer so ein bisschen rum und sage, ich glaube denen schon, dass das so ist, aber so genaues kann ich immer nicht sagen. Das wäre wirklich hilfreich. Dankeschön mal dafür.
So, one, the cruelty-free aspect that I mentioned is actually a certification from a testing standpoint to make sure that how all of the ingredient sources are derived. So from the collagen and the colostrum, you're milking the cows. The collagen is actually sourced from the hide, the sinew, the collagen on the inside of the hide. So when those cows die, they're not killed horribly, and they're certified as being cruelty free in their sources. So as for vegans, so as not to offend people that are vegan, I will actually bite my tongue. But here's what I'll tell you. Vegans that have used clean slate for a long time usually start craving meat. Funny how that works. But if the key part in this is understanding that there are sources for things that are here that you can't get just from eating vegetables and such. They're just not available. And it depends on your existence, on how you want to function in this world. I'm yet to meet a vegan that has an ideal amount of muscle and strength that allows for longevity over an extended period of time. And from a population analysis standpoint, we don't have enough data to show us vegans living into their 70s, 80s, 90s, and 100 plus. They just don't exist. So as we get to see some of those, we'll have more longitudinal analysis to look at the long-term benefits or effects of veganism over a population. Doesn't really exist entirely, right? We can look at the Hindu culture and the Indian culture where, they don't eat beef, but they have other different sources of stuff. But I'm yet to see, some population that meets the diet of what vegans eat in the United States and now Europe that actually is designed to create any semblance of longevity. It sure as hell creates a high level of weakness, but most of us are not built for that. I mean, there are some blood types like A's that if they're the right blood type and they're in the right culture, that they can be vegetarian. But then it's a matter of making sure that you're eating properly and you're sourcing things properly to give the body what it really, really needs. But without knowing your genetics, DRCGX, and without understanding, your blood type and how you're made, you're not going to understand what and how you should be eating. Because I would argue in most instances for people that are choosing to be vegan, they're choosing to be vegan not because of a dietary standpoint, but because of a neurotoxicological impact that's also adjusting their microbiome that has them thinking they need to eat one way, but it might not be correct for them. So every individual should take the time and the investment to do their own genetics, DRCGX, understand who they are and how they're built, and then use that to overlay how they should be functioning in their lifestyle. And if you're in the United States and you work for a company that has, benefits like an FSA or an HSA, you might use some of those proceeds to get your own genetic panel, because it is covered on the website right now, to know who you are. Because in all of these conversations, if you don't take the time to know yourself, then you're clueless. And I got to take this. Konnichiwa.
Okay, well, we are at our time, so I will say thank you to everyone. I think this is actually a very informative call for collagen, but also, as Duquesne mentioned, our colostrum. So thanks for everyone for joining the call. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, y'all.